Hello, hello, and good morning and happy wonderful Wednesday. It is 11:11 activation time, Pacific time that is, and I am Susie Bowers from Everything Hypnosis. This is Everything Hypnosis on wonderful Wednesday at 11:11. So welcome. Let's just say hello. Thanks for joining me. I'm glad you're here. You can see I'm being kind of casual today. I'm actually shooting this from home and just chilling today. Lots of work to do, but just thought I'd have a little relaxed conversation with you today. So hi there and welcome. There we go. Just wanted you to see there I am. Anyway, so today what I want to talk about is, are you the kind of person that is spreading love and light and sunshine in your world? Or are you the kind of person that is complaining and gossiping and spewing opinions? Well, I'll be honest with you, this is something that I work on all the time, trying to get it right. And this little book here, The Four Agreements, is one of my favorite books because the more you dig into it, the more you find out, the more you learn, the more you can improve yourself and be a better version of yourself. So here, I'm just going to check the technology here, make sure we are streaming live. So let's go to there, just take a look. So I'm hoping you're joining me. Yes, it's looking good. It's looking good. So hi there. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about the first agreement in the book, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. I absolutely love this book because it really, if you just follow what it talks about levels of consciousness, something that I am talking with you about all the time, about being aware of our own unconsciousness, our ego mind, our subconscious, our personality self, and those thoughts that are rolling around in our head all the time. So, what we want to do is be aware of those thoughts, but also be aware of our words, because being impeccable with your words is understanding that your words, along with your thoughts, but when you speak a word, it is powerful. It's like casting a spell on yourself and others. So being impeccable with your word is really, really important. It's so easy to spread toxic poison with your words. So in the Four Agreements, something came to just recently, something came up in my personal life where it was brought to my attention that some other person's coworker complains all the time. They're always complaining, nothing's ever good enough, and kind of just creating havoc in the workplace when it could just be a really beautiful and positive environment. And so that's one way of just being aware and being impeccable with your word. Are you complaining all the time? So, certainly there's things in life that we can complain about and that aren't going perfectly well. But is it something that you're doing in a chronic way, in a way that is spreading toxicity around you? And I want to talk about that a little bit more, because when we complain and we talk about other people, so there's the complainer, there's the gossip, and then there's giving opinions to others that, instead of letting people figure things out for themselves. And I'll be honest, that's an area I have to work on all the time. But so let's talk about just complaining a little bit. So certainly when we, look at our lives and we look at what's going on in the world, we can complain. There's always something we aren't going to like, because that is just life, right? So there's also many, many things around us and in our lives that are beautiful and wonderful that we could be happy about. So here is the key to this: is whatever you focus on is what you're going to get more of. So if you are, let's say you're at work, we're talking about a work environment. If you're at work and you don't like your boss very much, you think your boss is kind of a jerk, and maybe he or she is, but you're constantly dwelling on thinking about that, then you're going to get more of that. It's going to become more, it's going to grow in your mind like a seed that you've planted that's now growing into a giant tree, and you're going to bear the fruit of that focus and that thought and that complaining. And when you talk about it and you complain to others, then you're bringing them into that kind of energy. And it's then now they're being more aware of something that maybe is negative that they didn't even care about before. The other thing is when we complain, we are setting up all sorts of unwritten rules about how we have to behave. So if you don't like the behavior that someone else is doing and you complain about it and you're judgmental, which is the ego mind totally, then you're setting up an unwritten rule that you now have to live up to. And the truth is, we never know exactly what the circumstance is of someone. I'm sorry, I'm at home. My dog's at the door. We never know the exact circumstance that somebody is living in right now. We don't know why they're behaving the way they are, maybe why they're being a jerk today, because, maybe their child is sick or their grandma died or their wife left them. We don't know. We don't know what their situation is until we're in their shoes. So what happens sometimes is when we cast those spells with our complaining, with our words, we're setting things in motion that the universe does this. It's so crazy. It's the way physics works. You put it out there, you cast that spell, you may just find yourself in a situation exactly that caused that behavior of that person that you're complaining about. And now you put yourself in a situation where you can't win. You cannot win. You're going to find yourself maybe behaving in the same way that you were complaining about. And you realize now that maybe that person didn't have a choice, if it's even if you're aware of it at all. All right. So complaining, make a point today not to complain. We'll talk about that with some tips in just a minute. So the other thing we were talking about is gossip. So complaining and gossip are really two sides of the same coin. So if you're complaining, you're probably also gossiping. So gossiping is spreading toxic poison about other people, their private lives, their situation, their choices, and really, shedding a darkness around them and their situation instead of being understanding and kind. Now, there's a lot of this going on in the world right now of in my opinion, so I'm going to give an opinion here. In my opinion, there's an overabundance of this tolerance vibe where we're just so tolerant. So I'm not talking about that. I think people also need to be held accountable and accept responsibility for their own experience, their behaviors, their choices. Certainly, we're all going to make mistakes in our choices. That's why we're here. We're here to fail a lot. And we do. So we learn from those. That's the whole idea, is to learn from those choices. So if we gossip about somebody, though, and we put them in this dark light, it just spreads more negativity. And again, we're creating unwritten rules within ourselves of what is acceptable, what we have to live up to. And I'll tell you what, that's a lot of work. It's kind of like telling lies. So being impeccable with your word, and I hadn't brought that up yet, but it is part of it, is what kind of lies do you tell? Are you a person that really is impeccable with your word? Or are you the kind of person that tells little white lies? So little white lies can add up. So a little white lie might be telling your friend that you can't go to the concert with her, you can't go out to lunch today because you have a headache, or you're sick to your stomach, or you sprained your ankle, or your husband called, or whatever it is. And it's not the truth. The truth is you just don't want to go. So how do you feel about that? Do you think that a little white lie like that is okay? Or because you don't want to hurt someone's feelings? Or is it just unacceptable? Now, here's the challenge with that. If you're not being impeccable with your word and telling the truth, you start to create and weave these tangled webs of lies that you can't keep up with. Because if it's not the truth, you're not going to remember the lie that you told. And so then later on, maybe it's a few weeks down the road, and your friend goes, "Oh, how's your sprained ankle?" And you're like, "Huh?" And maybe there's other people around and they're like, "What sprained ankle? What are you talking about?" So it's those little white lies. So what do you think? Do you think it's okay to tell a little white lie? Let's explore this further in just a minute. Let's take a quick break. This is Suzie Bowers on Everything Hypnosis. Let's do this. Telling me to dance, taking a chance. Okay, I am back and welcome back. This is Suzie Bowers on Everything Hypnosis. Today we're talking about being impeccable with your word, which comes from the book The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And I absolutely recommend not only this book, which is the basis of all of his work and his son's work, but there's a whole series, even including The Mastery of Love, which is really good if you want to work on relationships, your love relationships. But today we're talking about the first agreement, being impeccable with your word. And my question was, before we took our quick break, are you a person who tells little white lies? And so the next question, and part of that is, do you lie to yourself? Or are you completely impeccable with your word, with yourself, and always tell the truth? And what do you think about that? So let's explore that a little bit further. So like I said, if you tell little white lies, they start to add up. And next thing you know, it's very difficult to remember what you lied about and what is the actual truth. And so you set up a lot of pressure in your nervous system. You set up a lot of pressure with yourself, a lot of stress. Actually, it causes stress in your physical body. Now, one of the things I do with my clients, if it's appropriate, and it's really to help create the belief of how powerful our thoughts, our words, and our truth, what we say to ourselves, how it has an impact on our physical body. So I use a process called, maybe you've heard of it, muscle testing or kinesiology. And I ask the person to raise their arm, their strong arm, and then I use two fingers and I ask them to resist me pushing their arm down. So we figure out how strong they are. I can't push their arm down with my two fingers. And then I have them say a lie. And when they say a lie, what happens is the arm comes down. They cannot hold it up. Literally, this never fails. And it shows that when you lie, your subconscious mind, which is in every cell in your body, knows that it's a lie, and it makes you weak. It makes you physically weak. So think about how not being impeccable with your word and telling the truth can have an effect on your personal health, on your own health. So when you tell a white lie because you don't want to hurt your friend's feeling, or you don't want to look stupid, or whatever it is, you don't want to look like a jerk, you're actually causing yourself to be weak in your immune system and in your physical body. But here's the thing, subconsciously, your friend also knows, her subconscious mind also knows that it's a lie, and something won't feel right about it. They'll get a feeling because it'll make them feel weak too, because we are all connected, subconsciously speaking and energetically speaking. So is a little white lie worth it? My opinion, no, it isn't. I have found whenever I catch myself, and maybe this will help you, whenever I catch myself formulating a story or something that's a half truth or a flat out lie in my mind that is starting to move towards my mouth, I get a red flag. There's like this little alarm that goes off in my mind. And I think I set this up years and years ago because I didn't like the way I feel when I lie to somebody that I care about, or anybody really. Now, I'm not saying be so bluntly truthful that you're just a total jerk either, but be discerning on how you use your words. It's really, really important. So now I just catch myself, and if it slips out, let's say something slips out that is a non-truth or a half-truth or a just lie, I stop right then and there. I go, you know what? That is not exactly true. That isn't what I really meant to say. I go back around it and then I say, what I really mean is this. No, I don't like that, or I'm not going to go because I'm just not feeling up to it today, being around people or whatever it is that's coming up. Here's the question. When the red flag goes off for me, is if I have to lie about it, I probably shouldn't be doing it. Think about that for a minute. And being impeccable with your word is sometimes uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie about that. I'm not going to lie because I don't lie. Being impeccable with your word can be challenging because there might be times where you really don't want to tell the truth because the truth itself is uncomfortable. But that is such a great thing to be discerning about, that if the truth is uncomfortable, why? So ask yourself the question, why is this uncomfortable? Why am I thinking I need to lie about this? One, maybe it's because something that you really don't want to share because it might hurt the other person. Or two, you probably shouldn't be doing it. It's really simple. So that's a great way to discern if you're doing the right thing and being impeccable with your word. Okay, so just a quick review. Being impeccable with your word, number one is stop complaining. There's nothing to complain about. Things aren't always going to go your way. Sometimes things are not going to be exactly the way you want them to be. If you can change it, then change it. If you can't, I love the serenity prayer. Just shared that with a client this morning. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. If you can change it, fantastic. If you can't, then give it to God. Let it go. Pray about it. Say, this is I think this could be better. I don't know what the answer is. Work it out, universe. And next thing you know, sometimes in a synchronistic kind of way, coincidentally, a solution appears. That's a win for everybody. That takes a little bit of patience, trust, and faith. So the other thing is, so just stop complaining. Try it today. Just make a point of not complaining about anything. Everything's wonderful. So the second thing is gossip. Eliminate gossip from your life. It sets you free, believe it or not. Sometimes I feel like my experience has been with people who are not consciously aware of their unconsciousness are gossips. They like to talk about other people. Like they want to be the first one with the juicy news. And it's so harmful to be that way. It's better to just let things unfold however they do, without an opinion, without a judgment, and definitely without using the power of your word, casting a spell on another person because you are gossiping about them and spreading information that's really, the truth is, none yo. It's none yo. It's none yo business. All right. And then the third thing we talked about was, in being impeccable with your word, is telling the truth. Telling the truth. So I really touched on that as far as telling the truth to other people, but also pay attention to the little white lies you tell yourself. And that is even more important than anything, is to be completely impeccable with your word, with yourself. Keep your commitments with yourself. Don't make stuff up and justify things. That's what the ego part of our mind does. Remember, the ego, according to Wayne Dyer in his book, The Power of Intention, one of my other favorite books, edging God out. So when you're judgmental and you lie and you gossip and you complain, you're in your ego, and that is, you're blocking your connection with the source of all love and light, whatever that means to you. It's even in the Bible. And then I think the last thing I want to talk about is spewing opinions about things. So this one's hard for me. The other parts I have okay with. I don't really like gossiping anyway. I'm probably guilty of it once in a while, but I really don't like to gossip about people because I truly believe in my heart of hearts, knowing what I know now after working with 1,000 clients. So everybody is doing the best they can with where they are right now, based on past experiences, based on beliefs they have about themselves, based on their own self-confidence and that sort of thing. Everybody really is trying to do the best they can. And we are all here to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. So I don't really like gossiping. I really don't enjoy it. I don't get anything out of it. I used to do that when I was younger. And after time, I just realized how weak it made me feel. So the other one is, so don't complain, don't gossip, and tell the truth. And, learn how to use words when you tell the truth that are as not harmful as possible. So the truth doesn't mean you go tell somebody, I think that your hat is really ugly. I mean, that's not what I'm talking about. That's an opinion. And that's what the fourth thing I'm talking about here is, don't give your opinion about things. If someone asks you, what do you think? Even then, Be very discerning about giving your opinion. And I learned this from my coaches and very wise people around me, that be curious, ask curious questions. If someone asks for your opinion, ask them more questions. Just help them figure it out for themselves as much as possible. And so the 4 agreements: be impeccable with your word. Here's what happens when you're not. So we talked about what happens too when you're not impeccable with your word. And you're casting spells. You're casting spells, creating the dream of the planet that is not positive. So let's see. And he talks about this quite a bit. I'm trying to go back to being impeccable with your word. Here we go. It says it sounds very, very simple, but it's very, very powerful. The word is so powerful that one word can change a life or destroy the lives of millions of people. And in here, he talks about a gentleman that is one man in Germany who, with the power of his word, manipulated an entire country of intelligent people to do horrible things. I think we all know who that was. The word is not just a sound. I love this. It gives me chills all over. The word is not just a sound or a written symbol. The word is a force. It is the power you have to express and communicate, to think, and thereby create the events in your life. That is really important right there. Your word creates. When you're complaining, you are creating more of that you're complaining about. So one last thing that he doesn't talk about here, but I think it's a great tool you can use to be more impeccable with your word, and that is gratitude. So instead of complaining, you catch yourself having a thought of a complaint, something that you don't like, that isn't right and could be better, just let that go. Okay, over here, I'm just going to let that float away on a cloud, and I'm going to focus on, I'm so grateful for my job. I'm so grateful for my coworkers, the environment I work in, and the people around me, and my paycheck, and that I can go buy groceries for my family, and I get to go see a concert this weekend or whatever, So finding things to be grateful about can help you be impeccable with your word. All right, that is it for me today. Of course, as always, I'd love to hear from you. If you want to reach out to me, you sure can. One last thing, though, I want to share that the 6-Figure Success System book is out on soft launch, which is, so right now you can get it for only 99 cents on Kindle. And here I'm going to find, and here is the link right here. 6figuresuccessbook.com, and it's on Amazon, and for only 99 cents. And all I ask is that you write me a nice review after taking a peek at it. Excuse me. It is good for anyone in business. Even if you have $1 million company, the 6-Figure Success System has the foundational systems that everyone can put in place to create a successful business. And it's all about nurturing, connecting those relationships and keeping them. And if you do that in any business, you're going to be really successful, and you can scale up from a high 5 figures, 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, and get up to even 7 figures using the system. So I share all of my tips and secrets of social media, technology, and different tools I use, like this that I'm streaming to you live from BeLiveTV.tv, and it's a lot of fun, and it's a great tool. It's a great tool. So go get a copy of the book. It's going to be in full launch mode in just a couple of weeks, and I'm really excited about that. I've decided to do my full launch starting on May 22nd, which is my mother's birthday, my late mother's birthday. So go get that, and I will see you soon. Next week, tune in next week, and we will talk some more about some juicy, cool stuff. So let's do this. Thanks for joining me.